Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Nduma here, and I'm very happy to announce that I'll be starting a channel today to discuss matching into residency in the United States. A little bit about me: I am a foreign medical graduate. I graduated from medical school in Nigeria. I'm Ahmadu Bello University. I graduated in 2014, and then came to the United States, and then had my immigration journey. And by 2018, I was ready to take the steps. Between 2018 and towards the end of 2019, I did all the steps and then started application to residency. Tried a few times, and eventually in 2022 I matched as an internal medicine categorical resident at Mary Hill Wesley Hospital in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. I did my intern year down there, and towards the end of my intern year, I realized that Mary Hill Wesley, even though it's a really awesome program, it trains community physicians. I wanted to go into fellowship, and I wasn't getting the kind of mentorship I wanted at Mary Hill Wesley. Even though I've had some of my best experiences out there, I decided to apply for a PGY2 position in Texas, where it's closer to most of the family I have here in the United States, and it also has this academics building. And so I eventually matched into a PGY2 position out here. And that's why I'm currently doing my PGY2 as an internal medicine resident. That was a very bold and very risky move, trying to move residencies like that. But hey, I did it, and I've had some experiences from that, which I think someone may benefit from, and that's why I'm starting this channel today. I believe that the folks that are going to benefit from my channel are particularly older medical graduates, because that's what I was. I marched into residency 8 years after graduation, and I've met a lot of folks who marched 10, 15 years afterwards. So it's doable. But any international medical graduate who is applying for residency is definitely gonna benefit from this channel, as well as American graduates too. I mean, there's a lot of information that I'm going to discuss out here, which I believe you all can benefit from. I'm gonna talk about the application process. I'm not going to say much about it today. This is the first video. I know that this is end of July, and the folks applying for residency are seriously working on applications right now. So I'm going to talk about applications today. But on the overall, I would say that applying into residency requires you to. So I have divided into two major steps. The first step is getting a residency. That sounds very getting an interview. Sorry, that sounds very simple, right? But it's not. Getting an interview is one whole component of this whole process, and entails a lot. It has a lot. We have a lot to discuss on that. And then after getting the interview, performing well in your interview and actually matching is a whole other skill on its own. Once you've had an interview, the assumption is that most of the red flags on your application have been overlooked, and so therefore you stand a chance. If you do very well in the interview itself, you are likely going to match, and that's a whole topic on its own. And a lot of that has to do with practicing. And the problem I've seen for medical graduates experience here is that cultures are different, and so most of us we approach the interviews as if we're approaching interviews back at home in our respective home countries, and minimize some things, and then whoever is interviewing you, looking at you from another perspective, may misread you and therefore push you down, and that is not going to sound the outcome for you is not going to be good. So without much ado, I'll go ahead and talk about the application, the ERAS application. I'm not going to talk about getting the getting your ERAS token and all of that. Let's just go straight into the application. So the application itself, I have divided it into a couple of sections. I'm not going to discuss every section on there, but I have the write-up here. The bio information section, your information, your AMC number and all of that. That's one section on its own. Your medical information, medical education and other education, that's another section on its own. Work experience, research, volunteer experience, publication, hobbies, awards, and so on. Um, Filling your application, it's a very important part of the application process. You want to represent yourself well. And I always say that if you are applying for residency, your entire application should tell a story. And it should tell a story that, you know, why you're applying for the specialty that you're applying for, um, why you choose a particular program that you're applying for. So you have to research every program individually and present in your application somehow. um, and I'm going to discuss a little more about why residency programs look at these things the way they do, and what commitment have you put into the specialty you're applying for, and all of that should be well outlined in your entire application process, in each component of your application process, from your application itself to your personal statements, your LORs. You have to discuss this stuff, all of them, with your letter writers, and have one or two of them document some of these things in your letters, so that if you have a consistent application, then it's going to sit well. I know I have a lot to say, and it's just so difficult for me to break down. Anyway, let's talk about just application today. So yeah, your borrow information and all of that, it's pretty straightforward. It's your information. Medical information, you're just going to put in your school, your medical school, any undergraduate education, any postgraduate education you've had. You represent all of that in there. My understanding is that most of the folks that have postgraduate education kind of have some points. There are subtle points, but my understanding, even discussing with some of the program directors that I've had the opportunity to meet and talk to one on one, they kind of like folks who have postgraduate education somehow. So if you're an older medical graduate, several years post graduation, you have like a master's and a PhD, you stand a better chance than someone who does not. That's what I experienced. And so if you put all of that in there, that's where other education comes in. Now, work experience. All the jobs we have done, most of us foreign medical graduates have practiced in our home countries, for years. Some of us have even finished residency in our home countries. This is where you try to highlight all of that information in here, and we should mind the language we use. Most of us use things like medical officers. I've seen that a lot of us Nigerian graduates and even Indian graduates, they put this word medical officer. And I think one of my first applications, the very first time I applied for residency, I had one interview, and during that interview, I was asked what a medical officer is. By this, I interviewed at what do you call this, Tulane University um, uh, residency program. And one of the ladies, one of the professors who interviewed me, asked me, medical officer, is it like you're intense? And so I just realized that some of the time, some of these terminologies we use are pretty confusing to someone from this society. So, for example, I worked as what I would call in Nigeria a medical officer, but yeah, it's a primary care physician basically. You work as a GP, primary care physician, and that's a language that is understandable. Primary care provider. Um, if you want to be more, general, but you can say primary care physician or primary care provider. Either ways, if you put it in there on your resume and then you go ahead and outline, your job description, I think that is gonna solve that problem, pretty very well. So I think that'll be it. That's the main thing there. And then for volunteer experience, a lot of us really don't have volunteer experience on our resume. And I've seen this is something that I think a lot of American uh, professors like to see in your resume. And so what I did for me is that someone encouraged me to join the Red Cross Association. I did not have any license in America. So when I joined, I just looked for any of the healthcare services and joined them. It was on skilled labor anyways. And so when they have little activities around my neighborhood, I was in Houston back then. When they have little activities, there were simple things like, it was during the COVID. Things like, loading up trucks, to go deliver food to those in need, and little basic things like that, you attend. And then they had these meetings that they hold, sometimes weekly on Fridays. You just log in and, and register yourself as present, and then you mark it on your credit. And, and then you're a volunteer, and that says a lot. It doesn't only end with your application for residency. Even post residency, when you're applying for jobs out in the market, folks see you, and um, you have volunteer experience. You've been volunteering. A lot of people love that, and that's something that it means you have so much compassion for others, so much so that you can go out, take that extra step, and just help people without thinking about getting any gain from it. That's a big deal. And so that's something that I've seen being done, and that's something someone encouraged me to do, and which I did, and I think it added a lot of weight to my application as well. And the next thing is publications. Um, when I was applying for residency the very first time, the first year I applied, I did not have any publication. By the second year, I had three. And it's pretty much, there are a lot of folks, a lot of residents, there are a lot of, organizations that are looking for people to publish. You should join one of those organizations because it adds to your, application. Remember when I said that, when they are looking at your application, they are looking at your determination and what your interest in the field. And so if you're interested in internal medicine like me, for example, you have some publications, related around internal medicine things because you'll be interested in doing something for internal medicine. And so clinical, research and publication is a lot of work. And so if you can sit down and do, all that work and, go through the rigorous process of, applying for publication, doing the corrections back and forth and eventually having your article published, it tells anyone looking at your application that, okay, this person is dedicated to this thing and they are really down for it. And so I really encourage you to publish. If you once you get a hang of it and you meet the right people who are determined enough, you get a lot of publications. I personally have, just in my intern year, I've had 9 publications so far. And it's really encouraged. I really do encourage it. I encourage folks to get into the habit of publishing. It's gonna sell you out there. If you are a medical professional and you publish, it means you're writing and your information is out there. Someone can browse you easily, and then you can even start having consulting jobs. And so it opens you up not just to residency, but to the wider world and to the medical world. If you want to get into academics, if you want to get into any kind of clinical research and all of that, it adds weight to your application for sure. So it's something that I encourage. The next part is your hobbies. Yes, this is a part that you don't overlook. A lot of us have hobbies that we're very passionate about. Most folks from Africa are into soccer a lot, and I've seen folks go for interviews, met a soccer lover, and want to just talk about soccer through half of in the interview. And if someone in the program has something they can relate with you, it makes your life easier. And so you want to um, you know put in your, you cannot lie about your hobby. Make sure whatever you put in there, you should be able to defend during the interview because, these professors, these program directors, these APDs, and all the professors that are interviewed, they do look at these things. And, if you say you love soccer and you go in there and somebody's trying to talk soccer with you and, you're not flowing, and then, you'll be viewed as misrepresenting information. So, be very genuine, and I'm pretty sure these people can see through who is genuine and who is trying to fake it. Some of the time, some of us can fake it through the process, but half the times, these professors and program directors, they have been doing this for long, and they can see your mannerism and your habits, and and kind of figure out that you're trying to fake things you're not. A little discussion about this. When I was doing my intern year at Mary Hill Wesley Hospital, I had one of the attendings in the emergency room, and he's one of the higher faculties out there. I think he's next to be the program director. Each time he sees me, because he knows I'm from Cameroon, he always wants to talk about soccer, Roger Miller, Eto'o Fields, and this is an American, Caucasian American man, but he loves soccer. He's young, and he loves soccer. And so each time he sees me, he tries to talk French to me, and he tries to talk about soccer to me, which is always, kind of fun. I'm not a very big soccer fan, but of course I know Eto'o, I know Roger Miller. I watch a little bit of English and Spanish league. I'm not invested in it like that. I don't know most of the players, but he brings these little discussions, and I just add up. And he's always excited. And so that's something you use to connect. And so you outline that in your application, and look forward to um, discussing with someone about it, because it could come up during the interview. But then this is a process where they just want to evaluate you. They want to look at who you are. You should do your application as a whole should be pretty very straightforward. The whole idea is just to evaluate you as a person. Okay, who is this person? Pick up your resume. Who is this person? I should be able to say, okay, this person, born and raised here, graduated from this medical school. These are the activities they have been doing outside of medicine, from academic to non-academic activities. Yeah, this person looks like a kind of fun person, because residency programs, as you get to realize, is that they like people who they can work with. Everybody wants to have someone whom they can work with. Residency in itself is hard. You're going to be working long hours, and everyone just wants someone. They don't want a nerd person who cannot relate with others. It's not going to help anyone during residency, because at the end of the day, it's teamwork. You're going to be handling patients when about to leave the hospital during the day, and you need someone that is a people person that you can relate with, and get out of the hospital in peace. And then you also want to have all these people that you relate with every day. You're going to spend more time with these people than you spend with your family if you're married, and stuff like that. And so people just want the kind of people they can really just work with, and that's all they are looking for. And so if I pick up your application, I should be able to look at it and say, okay, this gentleman or this lady is, she's an interesting person outside of medicine, because she's able to do this, she's able to do that, she's able to do that, and she's able to flow with everyone else. And those are the kind of people that we all want in residency. That's the kind of person I would want in my residency program, so I can flow. I hang out with my residency colleagues all the time. In fact, as soon as we have time off, we all want to hang out and do something outside of the hospital, because that's how we relate and enjoy each other. And once you have that good connection outside of work, you connect very well, and while you're at work, and life is easy and just simple for everyone. That's the goal. And so that should be at the back of your mind when you're preparing your application. And thank you for listening to me. I think I will be going live. I'm considering going live. Let me put it that way. I'm going to send out this video to certain groups that I know are going to be beneficial. And, if I get the vibe, like folk want me to go live, and then I'll go ahead with it. If I don't get very good response, then not necessarily. The reason why I want to go live is because I want to be more interactive. I know a lot of people have questions that they want to ask directly. Talking and saying things that I want to say doesn't really help someone who has a specific issue that he or she wants addressed. And so I want to go live on YouTube, and maybe next week. And then if the response is overwhelming that I should go live, then I will, and so I can answer questions and tackle issues individually and help people better. The next video that I'm going to make is going to be concerning personal statements. Because I know a lot of us are working on our personal statements right now for the subsequent application. Thank you very much. And this is Dr. Nduma again. And thank you for watching my video, and welcome to my channel, The Powerhouse. Thank you.